Welcome to the What If podcast with your hosts, Spencer Worth Davis and Ryan Copperrood.
What if you died a bunch of times and a few times you were a goat?
Groundhog Day, except in you.
Except with goats.
And a few times you were a goat.
Goat Simulator. You ever play Goat Simulator?
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, it's a video game where you're just a goat.
And you can like slam it into shit.
It's
and,
just
like,
an open
launch it
world
and
goat
stuff?
game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
My last day of work, the last day that I taught, I was like done with all my grades and stuff, and I spent like 8 hours just playing Goat Simulator.
My favorite.
Sorry, former coworkers, if any of you listen to this. I didn't do shit on the last day of work. I played Goat Simulator.
My favorite part about that was that in my mind, I thought what you were going to say is for the last day, I let the kids all play Goat Simulator, and instead you were
I just
like,
let a
no.
I just let a goat run around the school. I brought a goat with
that.
me to work.
I
Let
played
loose.
it.
Oh yeah, it was me and like 3 other teachers. We just hung out in the basement and played Goat Simulator
While the kids ran
on the
free.
projector. No, my last work day, like after the kids were done with school.
Oh,
you know, you gotta
okay.
like put
Teachers
in
have
your
to,
grades
like,
and
do
clean
that.
shit up
Okay,
and
okay,
whatever,
sure,
or play
sure.
Goat Simulator in the basement on a projector.
Yes, got it. On a projector.
Oh yeah.
Dude, no one has ever projected Goat Simulator
Well,
before.
At
I
least
don't
3
think.
people have. I seen it.
You started it. What's up, man? How you doing?
That's one way to start an episode. I'm
We
doing
haven't seen
great,
each other
man.
in a minute. What's going on?
I saw you on Sunday. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, before that, we hadn't seen each
And then
other.
we were gonna
in a
hang
minute.
out, and I drove to my house instead.
Fuck it. Yeah, fuck it.
It was
I didn't-
bullshit, man.
I didn't understand-
I'm so sick of this winter garbage.
Yeah, the funny part was you didn't express that was why
No, I
you
think
weren't
I just
coming.
said, yeah, fuck it.
You said, yeah, fuck this.
Yeah,
and I
there
was
we
like, bro, like, I haven't seen you in like 2 weeks, fam. Like, what the fuck happened?
Not about it.
And
I drove around fucking uptown for 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
it was stupid, and then I went home instead.
And later, when you told me that there were snow emergency routes, and then I had to go repark my car,
Yeah.
I realized that's why you were pissed off.
Yeah, it was a shit show.
But it was fucking ridiculous because the initial inroad into it was you just being like, yeah, fuck this. And I was like, fuck what, man? What the fuck? You were so pissed, and it was not clear why you were pissed until later.
Yeah, it was stupid. I'm doing great though.
Tight.
I'm on day 30 of no booze, no dairy, no sugar, no processed things.
How does that feel?
Feeling pretty damn good.
Are you
I'm
really?
actually really sore because I've been trying to like also get in shape at the same time.
Yep.
And 2 days ago, I decided it was time to try and do some squats again.
Oh, how's your booty?
Bad.
What that booty do?
Nothing. And then today I played basketball for 2 hours,
Oh, yeah.
and now I don't think I can like stand up.
Are you going to have a beer tomorrow?
I don't know, man. Probably not.
Yeah.
Not drinking has been kind of fun.
Yeah.
Feels good.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I did it for 2 weeks at the top of January. It felt pretty good.
I've drank like once this year, I think. Maybe twice.
Right on. Right on. Is this your first Whole 30 or your second Whole 30?
I did like a whole 22 last time because it was stupid and I felt sick all the time.
shit, I'm out.
I just felt like I felt sick to my stomach for like 3 weeks straight. And then eventually I was like, this is dumb and I hate it. And I'm going to stop because this is totally arbitrary to begin with.
Yes,
And
yes.
we're living in a simulation and nothing matters. Food is not real. So
Food is zeros and ones, motherfuckers.
yeah, today's the first complete full whole 30. If I make
full
it for
whole.
another 6 hours here.
Full Whole 30. Full Whole.
Maybe we'll just keep this going for another 6 hours and then I'll down that entire bottle of scotch over there at midnight.
Yes.
And then we'll record our Patreon episode at that point.
I mean, it is my birthday, so maybe we
Well.
should just
Well.
keep you awake till 12:01 when it's still the night of my birthday.
And then yeah. I got
You'll
a bunch
be-
of booze in my house. We could do some stupid things.
I mean, it's arbitrary at this point anyway. You've already done it for 30 days.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
you could.
The whole thing is totally arbitrary anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get that bottle of Glenlivet
And some pizza.
and some pizza.
Yeah.
Do you miss cheese?
No.
No.
I don't give
You
a
never.
shit about dairy.
You're never a big cheese
I wasn't
guy.
really eating
Yeah,
dairy
that's true.
anyway.
That's true. You're never a big cheese guy.
Dairy sucks. It's been good though. I feel great. I sleep way better.
Yeah.
I've lost like 10 pounds,
Sick.
which is
Sick.
fun.
Yep.
I mean, I was also like working out during that time, so it's not entirely just what I was eating, probably. But
Yeah. But a combo
it's-
platter.
Yeah, I made a bet with our buddy Matt
What up, Matt?
that I can dunk a basketball by the end of So we play in a rec league basketball on a team together.
Yes.
And I bet him our season is just finishing up, and I bet him at some point next season I'll be able to dunk a basketball.
Are you?
There's
really?
nothing at stake here other than
Well, then that's not a fucking bet.
Well, okay. He said I could define the stakes because he thinks I have a 0% chance of doing it. So we could make up whatever we want, and he said he would agree to it.
He said there's a 0%
He doesn't
chance.
think I can do it.
Do you think you can do it?
I don't know. Probably not. I'm 5'10", by the way, for anyone listening to this podcast.
That is pretty important.
Yeah. There's a dude on YouTube who's 5'2" and dunking basketballs.
I mean, I just think
I'm
that
obviously not that dude.
you're going to need to do calf raises for like an hour a day every day for the next year.
I don't have shit to do. I could be doing them right now. I'm going to record every podcast standing up doing calf raises and squats.
Bro.
I'm going to get a clip-on mic and just be running on a treadmill during our podcast.
Bam. I have a very important idea.
Yeah, an important idea.
It is important. I feel like we need to pick an episode that we both just decide to record standing up together for the entire time.
That was your important idea.
It's very important because
why is that important?
Because
that
what if
seems
it
very not important.
No, because what if it changes everything? What if our energy,
what would it possibly change?
our blood flow will be different? Our motion creates emotion, man. You have the ability to move your arms and your legs. Maybe we'll be like fucking 10 times better podcasters than we've ever imagined being.
All right, well, it's too late this time. Here we go.
We'll take our first break. We're going to reset our microphone.
We're only 3 minutes in and we haven't talked about anything yet, but we're taking a break. No, we'll do it for the Patreon this week as like a test run.
We'll
because those people actually
stand.
like us, and if it sucks, then whatever.
Yeah, we got a handful of new of those folks again this week. Thanks everybody who's hopping on.
We'll do that.
All right.
We're standing for
All
an
right,
hour.
we're standing for the Patreon episode this week.
Just your mic stands.
Just your mic
We're going
stands.
up.
Going up
You want to talk about reincarnation?
on a Tuesday. It is a Tuesday.
Not for anyone listening to this.
Hey, are you going to buy some of those East Bay jumping shoes?
Oh, the weird platform shits?
Yeah.
Can you still get those?
Probably.
Platform jumping shoes.
Remember East Bay Magazine?
That's what you said. I thought you said, never mind. Yes, I do. I think I still get their catalogs, actually.
Phenomenal that that's still a real thing that they do.
There are a few companies that still send me catalogs, and I love it. I will never tell them to stop sending me catalogs.
Yeah. No, dude, it is Tuesday for people listening to this because we're recording this on Tuesday.
Well, okay. For the few people that like download and listen to this immediately when it comes out.
Thank you guys for loving us that much.
Rob will know it's your birthday.
Hey! Oh, Rob, you tweeted me today. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, dude, hoopsking.com is totally selling some plyometric jumping shoes that look like Starberries, by the way.
Oh, shout out to...
I got too many things plugged in, but you can, I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yes.
They're $100. You want to take a third of or 2/3 of our Patreon money from last month and each buy a pair and see who can dunk first?
I'm 6'5". I bet I win.
You have a distinct advantage.
It would be a thorough advantage.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, shit. That's hilarious.
That's what I've been doing. Let's talk about dead people who aren't dead and maybe are goats.
Dunk Watch 2018. That's what we're doing.
I'll give you guys updates occasionally.
Dunk Watch 2018.
Check our Instagram for me like swinging at the bottom of the net.
Or a video
Missing layups.
of Spencer in his 5'10" ass dunking on me in my 6'5" ass.
Dude, I mean, yes. That's going to be the first. As soon as I can dunk a basketball, that is step 2.
That's
step
how
1, dunk. Step 2, dunk on Ryan. Step 3, only ever dunk a basketball if it's on Ryan.
That's how we'll solve arguments on the podcast ever again. You're like, ghosts are real. And I'm like, ghosts aren't fucking real. And be like, 1-on-1.
My balls on your head are real. Fuck with me.
I'm ground now. Oh, shit. We missed you guys. It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
We back.
Oh, yeah. You guys didn't know that. Ryan went to Mexico.
I did go to Mexico.
Didn't tell you. That's why you got 2 of the same episodes 2 weeks in a row, basically.
Well, it wasn't the same episode.
I mean, you know.
It was a disappearance.
People disappear in Australia.
Episode.
Yeah.
But y'all like them episodes.
I guess. You want to go first or am I first?
Nobody's disappearing. Well, they're disappearing, but they're coming back.
Yeah, just for a little bit. And then they come back as goats.
What if you were reincarnated?
Is that what we're doing?
I mean,
okay.
What if reincarnation is real?
Well, because I got some past lives stories too, which is like, I guess the same thing, but a different name for it that sounds more metaphysical.
Yeah.
What if you died and came back as a goat.
Kick us off, man.
I don't actually have any goat stories.
I thought you did. You mentioned it a couple times. I got excited about that.
I'm assuming based on probability that someone has been reincarnated as a goat.
I think, if reincarnation is real, then definitely there's a pretty high percentage chance of that.
What if you were already a goat and then you died and then you came back and you're like, fuck, finally, I'm not a goat anymore, but then you were a goat? Do you think there's one really angry goat out there who was hoping to be something cooler the second time around?
Yes. I think that anyone who believes in reincarnation is pretty sure they're going to come back as something better.
Right.
And then they're probably sorely disappointed.
He was just a real garbage goat the first time around and they made him redo it. He flunked goat grade.
Goat level in life.
Grade goat.
Grade goat. What's before grade goat?
That's my new vodka.
Goat grade? Grade goat. Jesus Christ. It's like Grey Wolf, but worse.
I was going Grey Goose, but great goat.
Great
goat!
Just blew that microphone out.
Yeah, well,
Shit.
I sold some stuff before I bought some stuff. And now we don't have a compressor in the chain anymore.
Sorry,
and then
guys.
Ryan still screams.
I scream, but I always look away from my
scream
microphone,
because you love.
guys. I scream. I'm gonna make that T-shirt and put it in the store on the website. It's just gonna say I scream because I love.
Can we also just make a shirt that just says heck?
Yeah, heck.
Just on that's the shirt.
There's gotta be.
There's my creative direction.
There has to be a heck T-shirt, right?
Well, whatever. We'll make another one.
All right.
Ours will be better.
No, nobody has a copyright on the word heck, so I think we're good.
Beautiful. It'd be a trademark anyway.
What'd I say?
Copyright.
Oh, right.
You can't. I don't think you can't copyright words. This word is mine. Do not speak it.
You can copyright words that are like company words.
Isn't that a trademark then?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. We did this episode once. It sucked.
No, it didn't.
Semitutusmus.
I'm sorry. Did you just have a seizure?
I said a guy's name. Semi.
No, you didn't.
Like partially, but with an H at the end.
Okay, that's
Tutusmus.
Okay.
Tutusmus.
Sure.
He was a boy who believed he was a 47-year-old man. So in May of 1958, Salim Fasil, who was a 47-year-old Turkish man, was on his way home from work. He worked in a field, and he was riding his donkey home from the field.
Okay.
And his donkey showed up at home without him, so his family got worried and went looking for him. And he was laying out in the middle of a field, bleeding profusely from the ear where he had just been shot.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
That's a big bummer.
He was not in good shape because he had just been shot in the head. And
as you do.
Yep. And he was still breathing. He was alive, but he couldn't speak because of the, holes and stuff. And
because of the whole shot in the fucking face thing.
Right, that part. Yep. And they took him to the hospital, but they didn't know what had happened to him because no one else was around and he couldn't speak, and he died before regaining the ability to speak.
Got it.
The police, however, arrested two people, one of which was his neighbor, Isa, I-S-A. And Isa admitted after being arrested to having accidentally shooting Salim.
Dick move.
Well, he said he thought it was a rabbit and he took a shot at it.
It was a dude.
Well, yes.
Dudes don't look like rabbits.
Well, Salim...
Don't well me. Dudes don't look like rabbits.
No, you're correct.
Okay.
But
Salim
was laying down and there was tall grass.
Oh,
so he was like maybe taking a nap and then he was rustling around. And I guess this guy was out there just shooting anything that rustled around on the ground, which seems like a bad policy. I will give you that. Sometimes that's going to be a dude.
Yeah.
And he shot him in the face and he died.
This was what year?
58.
58. So
of the 19 variety.
Maybe the whole wearing like a piece of orange clothing was not in vogue yet.
Oh, he was wearing a giant rabbit suit. Did I leave that part out?
Right.
He was dressed as Bugs Bunny.
This makes much more sense now.
Yeah.
We're going to eat for years.
Could he realistically be called Bigfoot if it was a giant rabbit?
Bunny foot. Big.
They have large feet relative to their body.
Lucky rabbit's foot. Big,
Big
Hoppyfoot?
bush. You got
No.
bushy? No. Oh, okay.
No. No. Think about your life. Think about your choices.
Enormous ears.
I mean, sure. Earnormous?
Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
He shot and killed the enormous.
We got there.
Yep. Did you see the guy who sent us like 15-page long emails about Bigfoot this week?
Yes. Shout out to that guy.
That dude was so serious. He gave me his phone number at the end of it.
Yeah, he was like, and if you want to talk about Bigfoot,
Hey,
let's
if any of you guys want to
fucking
call
do
him
it.
and talk about Bigfoot,
No, we're going to call him and talk about Bigfoot, dude.
I want to just read his phone number on the air, and you guys can all give him Bigfoot prank calls.
Hell no. I'm interested in learning more. He was committed, and I
You mean
like
like dedicated or like
Dedicated.
couldn't leave a building?
committed. No.
Okay.
No, he was dedicated to the idea, and not the idea in the way that he was like, I guarantee you Bigfoot is real, but more so dedicated
He literally said that, by the way.
that Bigfoot is real?
Yeah.
I thought it was more so like,
He opened
there's some
with
compelling evidence
no.
that you
He
guys...
opened with, "I am convinced Bigfoot is real,"
Oh, I missed that part.
and then I asked, "How do you know that?" And
Please-
then that's when the other
Please
stuff.
tell me more. Yeah. No, it was a very interesting and well...
Oh, I'm down. If you guys have evidence of Bigfoot, absolutely send it to us.
If you guys have evidence of anything, send it to us. We love reading y'all stories. Hi at whatifpodcast.com. I don't think we've said the email on here in a long time.
I was telling a story though.
Go!
Let's get back to that one.
Earnormous is dead.
Yeah, so Salim has been shot and killed. Issa has admitted to accidentally shooting and killing him. And because he seemed very distraught, and I guess that's how Turkish law works, he only spent 2 years in prison. You're trying to kill a bunny? I get it. 2 years.
I said it was an accident.
I guess that works in Turkey. Yeah, in the 50s at least.
What happened? I don't know. I was just cleaning it and it went off.
So 2 kilometers from where this happened, there's another village. And in 58, a woman named,
Give it a shot.
Karanfil, Karanfil,
Deal.
Karanfil,
I'm not going to correct you. There's no, I mean,
Karafadil.
Karenfil? Karenfil?
Sure.
Karenfil? Karenfil?
She gave birth to a child.
Okay.
2 days before she gave birth to said child, she had a dream in which she saw a man whose face was covered in blood enter her home.
Whoa.
And she asked him in the dream why he had come there and told him to please leave because I don't want you in my home.
Because that's creepy.
And he told her that his name was Salim Fasil, which, if you'll remember, is the man who was shot in the face and died,
Uh-huh.
and that he had been shot in the ear. When she awoke, she remembered that story had basically happened in the village over and thought that was kind of weird. That a real person that she at least like knew of had visited her in a dream a year and a half after he had died.
Yeah. This is still in Turkey, yeah?
Yeah, this is all within like a few kilometers.
Got it.
She 2 days later gave birth to a boy with a deformed right ear. And starting at the age of 1.5, as soon as he could speak, started saying that he did not want to be called Semi, and insisting that his name was Salim. And that that his last name was Fasil. So he was saying, my name is Salim Fasil, which is the guy who shot the other dude in the ear and came to this woman in a dream. Over time, this little boy, so he's like 2-3 years old, told his mother that Issa, I don't know how he would know of this person, but the dude who murdered Salim, said that Issa murdered him and intentionally shot him in the ear. It was not an accident. And when he was 4 years old, he walked over to the neighboring village, walked into Salim's wife's house and said, I am Salim, you are my wife, Kate B. He saw in the house a basket and said, I bought you this basket and you still keep it where I first put it. And a 4-year-old convinced this woman that he was her deceased husband, Salim. He then saw her 2 children and knew their names. So he knew how to find this village, where to find this house, knew everyone's name in the house, and convinced a grown-ass 50-year-old woman that his 4-year-old self was her husband who had died 6 years earlier.
Just because I have to.
Sure.
Where is this story coming from?
This is coming from a book. I guess I should have started with that.
That's okay.
Called Children Who Have Lived Before by Trutz Hardo.
Trutz?
Trutz.
Trutz.
Hardo.
Trutz Hardo.
Mm-hmm. If
Okay.
you're looking for rap names, there's a good one.
Young baby Trutz Hardo. No one will spell it. It will be tough.
So he continued to visit this village that was 2 kilometers, so a mile and a half, not quite a mile, 1.2 miles away.
Math is fucking hard.
Kilometers, 0.6 of a mile, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's right. So a little over a mile away. He would go there sometimes as many as 5 or 6 times a week.
Bro, I love the visual of this 4-year-old just walking down the street like, fuck off, I'm working here, huh? I'm going to see my wife. He's fucking 4, just like cruising down the road.
Well, and he insisted that those kids were his kids and treated them as such.
Just spanking a
So
10-year-old.
he would show up and start ordering him around and telling them to do stuff. And this kid's like barely.
Bring me my breakfast. It's like, you're 4, fuck off. Leave me alone, you little shit.
But they all also believe that he was their father reincarnated. So like the whole family went along with it.
Nice.
And when
He's like, haha, success. I have minions now.
when the oldest kid was married,
You walked him down the aisle?
no, better. So Semi, the little kid,
Yeah.
went and borrowed money from his actual dad to give to his quote unquote son when he got married. Because his parents also believed that he was the reincarnation of this 47-year-old man who had died.
Dip.
So both families were in on it, and they were just like, yeah, I guess we both got this little old man to deal with now.
This 4-year-old old man.
Yeah.
Dad, how am I going to buy my son a present? Give me some fucking money.
You know how expensive weddings are. I can't go to get a job.
What am I going to do?
2 feet tall. Little help here, please.
I'm 2 feet tall. His job just needs to be like telling facts about his past life, and he fucking
Right? I'm really hoping that it was like both sets of adults agreed to just let him do it, and then they just handed the money back.
Oh,
Like
sure,
the little
sure,
kid
sure.
goes and borrows $300 from his dad and gives it to this other like 20-something-year-old guy, and then as soon as he leaves, he just gives it back.
Or he just hands it over his little 4-year-old dumbass head whenever.
Taps him on the other shoulder and hands it back.
Huh? What?
I wonder if he could. Do you think he was like had the intelligence of a 47-year-old? Do you think he could
Well,
like read and write and stuff really young?
I mean,
I'm assuming that these stories are probably not real. Just you know.
for whatever it's worth. Well, I guess the question that I have is like what does retain? You know,
Well,
what part of a
memories, obviously,
sure,
and personality traits. It seems like.
but like technically,
Acquired
language is
skills.
something you remember. Like writing is something you remember.
Yeah, they never. I want to hear a reincarnation story where the kid comes out of the womb like cursing, like
Holy fucking shit!
"Where am I? What is this?"
That was the worst fucking water slide I've ever been on.
Just screaming. That would be terrifying if you were.
Somebody give me a cocktail.
Being conscious of being born would be the worst.
Holy shit, it would suck.
And you're convinced it's not your mom. It's just some. It's just some random lady. Gross, 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 gross.
I know kids often come out of the womb screaming, but I think like it'd be so much funnier if it was just like
heck.
fuck.
So
Please don't cut that. Ow!
I need that. Yeah, I don't know.
Not my
dude.
dick.
That was the joke. Yes, you nailed it.
I was going with umbilical cord first.
Oh,
My mistake. However,
that would still hurt.
God damn, we must pick those sounders good if you got one for that random occasion.
Yeah. So I mean, he didn't start talking until like all the normal development things seem to happen at the normal times. More or less.
Okay.
Minus the memories of being a 47-year-old guy who got shot in the face. But
which is a big one. Let's not.
so a lot of times with kids who have memories of past lives or reincarnation or whatever, it kind of slowly fades as they get older.
Yeah.
With this dude, it did not.
Okay.
And when he was 8, his former wife, according to him, wanted to remarry, and he broke that shit up. He was like, "No, you will not marry. You are my wife. Fuck this guy. We're still married. I don't care if I'm 8 and live in a different village now."
He's like, "Give me 10 more years and we will reconsummate this marriage."
And this little 8-year-old walked up in her house and said, "How dare you attempt to marry another man as well as me?" And she called the wedding off because she's apparently married to an 8-year-old.
He comes in there with a baseball bat. This little 8-year-old kid just like ready to throw bows.
He also was convinced that Issa had killed him intentionally over a dispute about a donkey.
Okay.
And whenever he would see him out and about, he would carry rocks around to throw at him.
So he was carrying around weapons. And
Yes, he just
banging on people.
pelted this 50-year-old man with rocks whenever he saw him up until about age 12.
Sure.
He eventually, at age 18, finally gave up. And not that like in his belief, but gave up in trying to exact revenge on the man he thought he had murdered him, because his line of thinking was, well, him murdering me stayed with me into the next life.
So if I murder him, he's going to show up in a 4-year-old who's going to come get my ass.
Right. And we're just going to have this never-ending cycle of following each other around and killing each other, and that's going to suck. That seems like a shitty existence, so let me stop.
So don't fuck with me or my wife. Leave us be.
I will throw rocks at you.
I will throw rocks.
We'll keep it at that.
I like that this 18-year-old is like married to a 68-year-old woman at this point.
I skipped a part, but she died, and he was really sad about it. And there was this little kid that hung out by her grave and cried a lot.
That's
That's why I skipped that part.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I
But then I didn't.
shouldn't have
Sorry.
made. I shouldn't have made the joke. You should have warned me, dude. Hey, don't make any jokes. Don't make death jokes about this.
If it helps, none of these people are probably real.
So do you think so?
I don't know. Do we want to get to that yet, or do we want to tell more stories? I have thoughts on reincarnation in general. But
Well, I think we should probably at least talk like a little bit about a few more. I mean, I have one more. Do you have another one?
yeah.
Yeah. Mine's very different from the child one, which so here's what's interesting to me. There are researchers, I should say a handful of researchers who have written like pretty extensively on this topic of reincarnation. And to your initial story, it largely focuses on kids.
Yes.
Like most of the stories.
A lot of them that I've seen come from cultures where reincarnation is accepted as common and I guess real, so to speak.
Yeah, and we can let's do stories and then do what's happening.
Yeah.
But yes, that is often the case. Although some of the people who have done some research into this stuff, Ian Stevenson specifically wrote a book about European cases that are similar to the story that you just told, because he received the criticism of people saying, well, there are these stories that are out there, and there are many. I mean, we could have on
There are
this
thousands.
thousands. I mean, like Ian Stevenson's interviews, he said before he passed away, he was born in 18 and died in 2007. He was born in Canada, and he was
Born in the year 18?
1918. What did I say?
Oh, you just said 18.
Oh,
That man has been reincarnated as Ian thousands of times.
so many times. No, Ian Stevenson, whose middle name is Prettyman, which is
Ian Prettyman Stevenson?
Prettyman Stevenson.
That's an incredible name. I would just drop the Ian.
Pretty phenomenal. He was born on Halloween in 1918, so maybe that's why he was
What a dude.
fascinated with.
I'd just go by my middle name.
Yeah. But he's a Canadian-born psychiatrist who worked at the University of Virginia School of Medicine for 50 years and chaired the psychiatry department from 57 to 67. And basically his life's work has been dedicated to the concept of reincarnation and telling and investigating these stories about reincarnations, but specifically related to kids. And he's written like, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but he's written like, it's something like 12 books and like hundreds of papers or articles and journals that all relate back to him traveling the globe, talking to these kids, asking them questions related to what do you remember about your past life? What do you know about who you were, where you lived, etc.
What's the deal with kids? Why kids?
I mean, it's a good question. I guess my initial reaction, if I'm indulging this, is proximity, right?
Like the memories are more recent?
Yeah, like especially as you say, it fades over the course of your life. Like,
I guess that seems like are we assuming that time continues in some linear way after death? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. That seems like a big assumption to me. But
which part?
That time would somehow be a factor if it's happening. Like if you're dead for too long, you forget things, or if you're alive in a new body for too long, you forget things. How long can you be dead for before you get reincarnated? Can somebody from like 1402 get reincarnated tomorrow? Because that'd be really confusing.
Sure. I mean, I guess in the case of your story, like everything happens in the same lifeline, right?
Well,
basically,
yeah, because it makes a more interesting story because you can go find the guy that shot you in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I don't know.
You probably, I guess there are probably stories out there of like, I want to hear from the guy who was like a butterfly in 906. And he has nothing interesting to say other than like,
you have no idea how much shit I pollinated. Oh, shit.
I want to hear the most boring ass. To me, the more boring the reincarnation story, the more believable almost.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
This past lives of like I was Cleopatra or I was a fighter pilot. No, dude, I was a bee and I lived for like 6 hours and it was horrible the whole time.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah,
and then I woke up.
I came online just flying around screaming, and then I got eaten by the end of the day. And now here I am 600 years later, and I don't know what happened in between.
I see what you're saying, although I do think we associate like we associate our concept of like memory to being generally better than
dude. What if
insects
you go,
or small
to
animals.
bed tonight, and then your next conscious thought is a bee in mid-flight being chased by like a blue jay?
It'd be a huge fucking bummer, man.
And it's like 600 years in the future. Do you think bees know about time? You have to, right?
Dude, bees are definitely not going to exist in 600 years.
Well, okay, you're right.
We're almost already fucking that up.
But wouldn't that? Well, can you go backwards? Can you get reincarnated into the past? Can you be an ancient bee?
I mean, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I guess we're talking about a hypothetical concept, but to me, it makes sense that for you to
True.
For you to live and be
U2.
born. What's that?
U2 is maybe the worst band on the planet.
Why are you talking about U2?
You said U2 a couple times, and it just made me think of U2, and
Oh.
I felt like I just need to be on the record saying how much U2 sucks.
I don't even know why I said U2.
Doing a horrible job of letting you tell a story. I'm sorry.
It's not even a story. All I was trying to say is like when you were saying, is there a linear progression of reincarnation? I feel like if we're entertaining the concept of reincarnation being real, people in some capacity are dying and being reborn in like you're passed into a new life, but that would not necessarily like in my mind that wouldn't work retroactively. It would be a progression of, because in order to like live for 100 years and then die and then be reborn again, the borning needs to occur after you have died. So
why,
to me,
though?
What do you mean why?
Well, maybe you just go back into some weird like repository of person souls, and then couldn't you get dropped in at any point? You're getting pulled out of the timeline when you die, right?
I mean, yes and no. I guess in my mind, it's
you're not going to
once
remember the
you-
ones that haven't happened yet, obviously, but
in my mind, it's like once you've died in the timeline, you would need to be reborn after the time that you died in the timeline. Like,
yeah, why though?
Well, because that's the way that we understand the linear progression of time. We don't have any other obviously we don't have proof of reincarnation being a real thing, but we don't have proof of like time working like that at all.
Well, yeah, because you inherently wouldn't have proof of it because we're only aware of things that have happened in the past and not in the future.
Well, except for the people who say they're from the future that we laugh at.
Right. You see the newest one? Guy who claims that 9/11 was done by a time traveler. That one was
What?
floating around today. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yep.
This is past the University of Minnesota kid that we talked about
Yeah,
in the Patreon
not
episode.
the same kid.
Okay.
No, yeah.
I was gonna say if that kid is saying some extra rowdy shit, we gotta.
No, it's one time traveler saying 9/11 was done by another time traveler to prevent a second U.S. Civil War because we needed to unite or something. It sounds like some bullshit. Like,
We're literally the most divided we've ever been as a country.
yeah, I didn't read the article because it seemed on the surface like one of those where by the time you get to the bottom, it's actually just like a weird cover for some conspiracy against a certain race and like just a really roundabout way to spew hate about somebody.
Yeah,
That's what I assumed.
Let's not do that.
Yeah, I don't know why I brought it up. I'm doing a horrible job of podcasting today. You were going to tell a story about people dying and coming back. Prettyman was talking to kids.
I wasn't necessarily going to tell a specific story about that. My story that I was going to tell is not related to kids, but I did want to bring it up that there is to me an interesting, like, in a 40-year career, if you were able to talk to 3,500 separate children about belief in the fact that they lived once before,
Something weird's happening.
that seems weird to me.
Yeah.
That's a long career. I mean, you're literally at that rate, you're talking to 3 kids. Oh,
Yeah, whatever the math is.
yeah, whatever the math is.
It's a fucking lot.
It's a high volume.
It is one of those topics where something has to be happening. Like there are so many UFO reports consistently over such a long period of time that like something is going on. It may not be aliens flying around in spaceships, but
Right.
something's happening. There are enough reports of people remembering things they shouldn't remember that have been verified
Yep,
that something weird is going on.
agreed. And you know, Ian Stevenson is just one doctor. I mean, he's one of like the more prolific ones, but there's also Jim Tucker, who worked for Ian Stevenson, has sort of carried on Stevenson's mission at the University of Virginia of like investigating these topics and conversations. And like Tucker's been interviewed on NPR about this topic of reincarnation and their work into it. And they try to take a pretty, I mean, they're employed by like a valid fucking, you know, educational
a research
institution.
university of some
yeah,
sort,
like
yeah.
they're employing scientific processes in their interviews and their investigations of these things. And
Yeah, you can't just come out and be like, that dude's that dude now.
right.
That's not going to work.
Yeah, everyone's going to be like, yeah, you don't have a job anymore because you sound like an idiot.
It's not how we do science here.
Yeah, exactly.
Ian.
But there are like a lot of these. And I think the other thing too, we talked about this a little bit when we talked about the African UFO landing case. What's the
The Ariel school.
Yeah, Ariel School. When we talked about Ariel School, we talked about the whole idea that like, you know, kids in some ways are a little bit more believable in some ways because their ability to be deceitful is a little bit easier sussed out than it is with an adult.
Yes, I think as a general statement, that's probably true.
I think as a general statement, for sure, that's probably true. So you would think that over 3,500 interviews, and two, these are in, I mean, like you said, granted, they're more towards the east, but if they're happening in disparate locations, like you said, something's happening, and it can't all be just parents feeding kids stories for no reason or.
No, some of it can be though.
Some of it definitely can be. I mean, one
And
of
if
the
that's
things.
ingrained in your culture and your religion and like your day-to-day life.
Yep.
Because, I mean, there are lots of questions for me about time, but also distance. Like you got reincarnated 1.5 miles away.
Right.
Shut up. No, you didn't.
I mean,
The Earth is big.
the Earth is big, but that's
Also, you're a human again? Why aren't you a dolphin?
But you're making a bunch of presumptions about how it could or should or would work.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I'm saying a human
So are
soul.
the people that are saying like that guy down the street is me.
Sure, but a human soul, like because we know nothing about this, and because it's like not a thing that we have anything to do
You're
with.
saying a soul is not a thing that we can measure?
No, I'm saying because reincarnation is not a thing that we like understand at all. If it's even real, there's no reason that somebody couldn't be reincarnated in the same timeline, in a similar location, in a new body, as much as they couldn't.
Podcast over.
What do you mean?
You can't say it didn't happen. I feel like we get to that point with a lot of these where it's like, oh, I can't prove that there aren't UFOs. Yeah, because that's impossible.
Well, no. I guess what I'm saying though is like you can't just be like, yeah, right, you didn't get reincarnated in the same city. It's like,
Sure,
well,
I
yeah,
can.
who fucking knows? I mean, we don't know anything.
Right. I'm just saying if it would seem to me that by probability, the likelihood of being reincarnated within a mile radius of where you died, it seems unlikely. And also, if the point is to like gain new experiences and get closer to some level of understanding, now you're just the guy over there in the same village. What are you learning from this experience that you didn't learn from the last one?
Well, dude,
And on which level
I don't
were
even know how to respond to you. Right? You're taking so many things like for granted in your espousing of this right now.
Okay, which ones or what?
You're saying the world is big, so you couldn't. It's unlikely for you to be reincarnated in the same in a similar location to where you died from.
Yeah, what's wrong with that logic?
What's wrong with that logic is that because we have no idea even remotely about how reincarnation would or wouldn't work, because we have no scientific understanding, or I mean, as far as all of the research has been done, we have no mechanism for understanding how memory could leave a body and enter another body. We don't know whether that would be a thing that would make it close to where the body died or far away from it. There's no
Right.
more reason for either of those things to be more or less likely, because we don't have any understanding of the transference of those things. So you're saying that's less likely because you could be reincarnated anywhere in the world. Well, we have no idea because we don't actually know what the mechanism of transference could or would
No,
be.
obviously, I'm not saying that that's a fact. If we knew, we wouldn't be discussing it. I'm saying to me,
No,
it
but I'm
seems-
saying you're projecting a hypothesis
Yeah.
that is based on really nothing.
Yes. We've done this 70 times now. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what's convincing you of the fact that you could be reincarnated. You could be reincarnated further away, but not closer. That's what I'm trying to
I'm
get
not saying that you couldn't be. I'm saying that to me seems less likely, because what would be the
How
connection?
about this? If I'm in a race and I'm carrying a baton and I fall over and I drop the baton, someone's going to pick the baton up close to where I dropped it. Maybe your soul is like a baton. Maybe when you drop the baton doesn't just like show up on the other side of the universe.
It just finds the nearest person about to be born and hops in,
Why not?
and that's what the dream was about.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, why is that not equally possible?
Well, because if we're going by these same anecdotes, that doesn't happen sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's another really interesting part
Because
of
if
this.
that's how it worked, we would know that by now.
And
because
that's
it would happen every time.
Well, but that's an interesting part of it too, and that's actually where a lot of the criticism I think for these stories comes from.
If you want to be reincarnated as somebody else, as soon as you die, they gotta just put you in a catapult.
Shoot me over there!
That village looks cool. That lady's got a nice house pointed at her.
I'm trying to die in your attic. What up? Like if ghosts or reincarnation is real, I'm trying to die near you.
Except you land on a spider and get reincarnated as a baby spider instead.
But you still come out swearing because you knew English before.
Yeah. But now you know spider.
So you're just a little tiny.
There's a spider running around cussing at people somewhere in Turkey.
Oh shit.
That's the conclusion I came to from this. Are we taking a break or are we not taking a break?
Yeah, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll tell the story of Brady Murphy, and then we'll talk a little bit about maybe what is actually happening, because something's happening on the What If Podcast. Hell yes! Did you live, die, and live again? Let's debate it. It's the What If podcast. What if you were reincarnated? I don't know if I lived or if I died. I tried to reopen up my eyes. I was only 4 years old, moving into some other motherfucker's home. I'm like, hey man, why you hanging with my wife? Yo, don't touch it, that shit's not nice. And I'm spanking all my kids. They're way bigger than me, but that's just how it is. Cause I'm little as fuck. I'm only 4 years old and I'm stuck in a rut. I mean, I've been around the world at one time, and now I'm back for another line. But I can't really find it. I'm just trying to stay out here, kid grinding. Making old man money in a little man body. I'm just trying to find me another old lady hottie, cause
There it is. We got there.
found one. Nailed it.
Just trying to find me another old lady hottie. Goat or human.
Go life. About that go life.
Tell us a story, Ryan.
Let's tell a story. What you know about Bridie Murphy?
What is that first name?
Bridie?
Briney?
Bridie? Bride with a Y.
I've never heard of him.
She?
Her? Never heard of
Never
her
heard
either.
of her. A U.S.
That's the
housewife.
worst name I ever heard.
Sorry.
Boom. Shots.
Timing is everything.
Fired. Roasted. U.S. housewife named Virginia Tighe.
Wait. Is this an episode of Unsolved Mysteries?
Wait, is it?
I don't know. That's just Robert Stack used to introduce any woman that was on the show as a housewife. Like
Oh, that's
literally
funny.
every time.
That's funny.
Stop screaming
I
into
don't-
your
I'm
microphone.
not trying to, man.
bruh.
I'm in the
Proper
same
mic technique, my guy.
I'm in the same proximity to it
Can't
that I'm
compensate
used
for your
to.
bullshit technique like we usually can.
Bruh, I'm in the same proximity that I'm used to.
All right.
Guys,
what
I'm
about
sorry
Birdie?
about your ears.
What about Birdie landed her on Unsolved Mysteries?
She's born in 1923. And in 1952, she starts seeing a amateur hypnotist named Maury Bernstein.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
the worst name I ever heard.
Okay, got
Gotcha,
it.
gotcha.
I was waiting. So Virginia, she lives in Colorado as well, and basically gets put into a trance in which
Hey, who's Virginia? I'm lost already.
Virginia is the housewife.
I thought Birdie was the housewife.
Just wait.
Okay, sorry.
Hang tight. Hang tight. Virginia starts seeing Maury Bernstein. Bernstein doing amateur hypnotism and therapy.
This is off to a great start.
No, I know it makes a lot. It
This
makes a lot
story
of
comes
sense
from an amateur hypnotist.
why this goes bad.
It's about as reputable as you can get.
Yep. 1952 basically starts to try to get her to regress to the point. Yeah, I know. To the point that he inadvertently pushes her one step further and goes before birth and is introduced to a woman named Bridie Murphy.
Okay.
Virginia tells a story about how she's 8 years old and living in a house in Cork. During her hypnotisms, she starts speaking in a partial Irish accent. Talks about how
Did you see the story about the lady who sometimes she has some condition that makes her speak in different accents, like uncontrollably? Do you think you're the reincarnation of that lady? Maybe.
Yes,
Is that possible?
100%. Only if her accents are as bad as mine.
Like in
But if
a past life, were you maybe like a really dumb Australian guy or something?
No. I wouldn't be a dumb Australian guy
Oh, why not?
because I wouldn't be Australian at all.
I'm saying based on your horrible Australian accents.
No, I know, but I have all of my accents is what I'm trying to say.
Right. It all represents a different past life of yours.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So anywhere I've lived, I have like a bad memory of my old
Right.
accent.
And when you scream into your microphone, it's because you in a past life you were a goat.
I yell because I love.
We scream because we care.
I want it so bad. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make a shirt. I'm gonna wear it. So Anyway, Virginia, through her hypnosis over time with Bernstein, starts to tell all these stories of her life in Ireland about her father, Duncan Murphy, who was a barrister, which I don't fully understand what that word is. Barrister?
Isn't that like a lawyer? Or maybe a boxer? Which one is the fancy English word for boxer?
Is it a barista? But like a lawyer entitled to practice as an advocate, particularly in the higher courts. Woo! Damn, that's one of the smarter things. Hey, you blew your mic too. See, we're both doing it.
Fuck.
Fuck.
And I knew that the other one was pugilist. I was making a joke before you guys correct me or make a meme about me being stupid.
Oh, pugilist. Good job.
Take that, Allie.
You can't meme that one, Allie.
She was roasting me on Twitter last week.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Dang, shots fired. Under her hypnosis, Virginia refers to grocers in Belfast from whom she bought food, Mr. Farr and John Kerrigan.
Okay. I was hoping there were names. I was hoping this wasn't a lady got hypnotized and she recalled buying groceries once in a past life.
No.
Although, based on what I was saying earlier, that would make it kind of believable. What'd you do in past life? I went to the grocery store.
She's literally a U.S. housewife who has memories of basically being an Irish housewife 150 years previously.
Man, she must have done something real shitty when she was a goat.
I guess. She told the story to Maury Bernstein. Maury writes a book about her. It was turned into a movie called The Search for Bridie Murphy because Bridie Murphy was her known name in her past life. A Belfast librarian, after the book comes out, goes into a city directory for Belfast and looks in the years of 1865 and 1866 and finds that there is both a Farr and Kerrigan last names of grocers in Ireland during the time. Not like great evidence, but...
No, I just think it's funny that our case centers around grocers.
Grocers in Belfast. But dude, this goes exactly to your point though. Like, could you know a mundane fact about a place and a time?
Right.
You know, and
it's to me, it's almost better evidence than the I was an Egyptian
I was murdered
pharaoh.
And yeah.
I got an axe in my brain.
Right.
Because of the jealous donkey owner next door.
Right. Or I remember some facts about being like a rich and famous so-and-so person from back in the day.
My life sucks, but I used to be a barrister.
Dun.
For a pugilist.
But yeah, the apparently Virginia was not thrilled about what she found in her hypnotism and was skeptical about the concept of reincarnation, even though this was her own story that she acknowledged and owned that she had said and done and found these things about herself.
It's a big concept for a housewife.
Shots fired?
I just think it's fucked up to...
Are you shooting shots at
housewives? I think it's fucked up to describe someone as I just think a housewife is a fucked up term.
Well, I mean,
I'm sure she did other stuff.
In 1923, there were not as many women in professional jobs in this country. So many of them were people who lived at home and took care of homes and children, etc.
That's a fair point.
But anyway, not a kid, different time period. This is in the West. Again, a Belfast librarian was I'm going to do my due diligence and see whether or not these are things that can be verified, and found a couple names of a couple grocers in Belfast in the 1800s, which when you go back that far, you think about the population of Belfast, it would be much lower than it is now.
Yeah, it was actually just two grocers. That was the entire city. They just sold food to each other.
There was a town square, and they just had a rivalry across the...
Just tossed fruit back and forth all day.
You sell it. No, you sell it.
Very, very intense fruit trade.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm super skeptical of anything that involves hypnotic regression.
Oh yeah, I mean everyone should be, and we always are, and me included. I mean, I think the thing for me about this case, if you will, I guess, is I liken the elements of being able to identify people by their profession in a location at the time that you claimed to potentially be alive beforehand.
How common are those names, though?
I mean, who knows? But
Like if I said there was a dentist in Knoxville named Johnson in the 18th century, I bet I'm right.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean that I'm not.
19th probably would be a better bet, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like bet against that
If you
possibility.
pick a common enough name, profession, and a big enough city, I bet you could be right almost 100% of the time.
Yeah, maybe, but like Belfast is not a big city now.
Is it? I don't know anything about anything.
No, I mean
Belfast population.
Show me what you got.
Dear Google.
672,000 in 2011. That's a pretty big city.
I mean, I guess.
It's bigger than the city we're in.
Well, right. But in the 1800s?
Sure, I'm just saying it's a real place.
Yeah, it's not a real place. No one's disputing
I'm
the
just
existence
saying, I
of
bet if I
Belfast.
picked a common name and a common profession in Minneapolis, I would probably be right.
In the 1800s, though?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yep.
That's pretty far back.
I guarantee you there was an Anderson who sold groceries in the 1800s.
I mean, I'm not going to like start Googling that, but
Just saying. Like,
Yeah.
there's a 100% chance that that's true.
sure. I understand. I guess the point I'm trying to make is
Hypnotize me, and I'll say it again.
hypnotize me. and I'll say
We
it
should
again.
really get hypnotized on the podcast sometime, by the way.
I would do that.
Maybe if we ever do a live episode again.
I would. I'm so skeptical of live hypnotisms.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's why we should do it.
Although people, but we'd have to do it though. We'd have to like you have to like, you know how they go like you have to like.
When I said
think-
we should do it, I meant we should do it.
No. I mean like
Oh, you got to play along?
you got to play along. Like if they're
Yeah.
telling you to do stuff and
Yeah.
they're telling you to like close your eyes and
Yeah,
sink in.
I'm really bad at that.
Yeah, you are because
Yeah.
you go into it with like a fuck you. I'm not going to get hypnotized.
Well, I think in that, but generally I go into most interactions with a fuck you first. But I think if
I'm so glad you can acknowledge that, bro.
I think if I were like if I were volunteering to do it, I could do it.
I feel like though we'd have a better chance of successfully being hypnotized in a private setting than
Well, okay,
like
let's
a
do it
public
here then.
setting.
No one listens to live podcast episodes anyway.
All right, I tell you what, if you guys have a good hypnotist that you know of, send us an email at hi@whatifpodcast.com.
Can you hypnotize someone over Skype?
We can
Do you have
ask
to be in the same location?
if you have a good hypnotist, we could check it out. I would be very curious.
All right. We've been talking about mostly nonsense for an hour. Do you want to talk about what we actually think reincarnation is or isn't?
Sure.
I think the general concept seems as plausible as any idea about what happens after death.
Or any of the concepts we talk about on the show.
Well, that too. More plausible than a lot of those. But
All right, that's interesting.
what?
That you find
I think it's more likely that people are reincarnated than, say, we're living in a simulation.
interesting.
Or that horse wrote that one chapter of that book. Unless it was Bridie,
Brady
Briney?
Murphy
Unless she was reincarnated as a horse.
that ate books.
No, that wrote books.
Well, they probably ate them too.
Wow.
Probably wrote them and then ate them. They're fucking horses, you know.
Yeah, we've covered some really stupid stuff on this show. We obviously don't know what happens after you die. That seems like a somewhat believable explanation of what happens when you die. I, on the other hand, think there are way too many places where bias could be introduced, especially once you start talking about hypnotists and regressions and shit. I think past life regressions are total nonsense because everyone comes out of it with, I was this person and this person and this person.
Raped,
and,
abducted, taken by aliens.
I meant like the specific past life regressions, not just
Oh.
like, but there are just so many places where you can be guided.
Oh,
to
right.
think
No,
of-
that's what I'm saying. Like in like regressive hypnotism therapy stuff. We've talked a lot about like
it's
all kinds
nonsense.
of weird injections of things into people's brains.
And then I just have a lot of questions about how it works logistically, which you did not seem super game for discussing earlier, but I still have questions.
No, I'm 100% down to talk about how it works logistically. I mean, Ian Stevenson, who I brought up earlier, in all of his interviews of the whatever we talked about, 3,500, I think, like cases that he spoke to over the course of his career as a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia, said at the end of his career that he acknowledged there is no known like scientific way where this could even remotely happen.
Yeah.
Like he owned that pretty hard on his way out.
I think you have to start with like, we don't really understand what consciousness is or where it's located or where it originates.
Which gets big real quick.
Right. I mean, at that point, then you have to just kind of accept that, like, I guess almost anything could happen because we don't know how we got here or where we go.
And that was my point about like the proximity thing or the time period thing.
Right.
Like
obviously I'm purely speculating and guessing.
No, I know.
No information about any of this.
Of course. I guess that's what I'm saying though, is like it's so there's no way that any of it would be more or less likely because all of it is so, foreign and unknown and like all that stuff.
And like I do think there's something to the idea of consciousness not being located within the body. I think that is as plausible as anything.
Out of body experiences we've talked about.
Yeah, and just like there's no scientific explanation for how our brains would create consciousness and other brains wouldn't and so on and so forth.
Yep.
So if you accept that, then, well, fuck, anything could happen. Right?
Sure.
Where is consciousness stored externally somewhere and it can be input into anything?
Yeah.
Is it transferable? Is it can you retain it across multiple lifetimes and forms? And can you be different species? Can you be in different locations and different times?
Yep.
And I mean,
is there an element of this that is not entirely unrelated to the paranormal or ghosts? I mean, ghosts are technically people with memories from past times and places.
You didn't hit a person.
Wait, what'd you say?
The catapult missed. You didn't hit a person. Now you're just wandering around. Now you're just a weird cloud of consciousness.
You just landed into a poof that became Casper, and you're like, shit.
Now you just got to rattle chains around in somebody's basement forever
till somebody frees you into the
till you get ghost murdered.
Till you get ghost murdered.
Can ghosts kill ghosts? Do you think? Or do they have to put them in the little shoebox thing from Ghostbusters?
I think it'd be a pretty miserable fist fight. I think it would just be a lot of whooshing.
Did the shoebox thing kill the ghosts, or were they just stuck in there?
No, it was just a trap.
And then they just eternally lived in a shoebox then until you let them out, or what'd they do with them? I don't remember. Did they dispose of them somehow?
No, they had them in like storage. They had like a main
just
ghost
forever?
Storage facility in New York City. Isn't that
But that building's gonna decompose eventually?
Yeah,
time isn't shit to a ghost.
Isn't this literally Ghostbusters 2?
I don't know. I saw the first one. I don't think I ever saw the second one.
I'm pretty sure
I saw it when I was like 6.
I'm pretty sure this is literally the plot of Ghostbusters 2, is that like their storage box explodes and all of the ghosts that they've captured over the course of time. Or 3.
Those guys were on it.
Yeah, I can't remember.
3 Ghostbusters movies?
I thought there was maybe it was just
I
one
need
or
to
two.
watch those. I saw the first one when I was when it came out probably, and I was a wee lad.
I honestly love.
I don't know what year it was.
I
Math is
love
probably
the
way
original
wrong.
Ghostbusters like a lot.
I will watch it.
Bill Murray's great.
Is it trash? Part 2.
Hey, yeah, you did.
Did you listen to the first one?
No, I didn't listen to it. Because you know why? This is the funny part. I'm not technically a Patreon supporter, so like I go to patreon.com/whatapodcast.
I'll give you the RSS feed link.
Yeah,
bro.
thanks. I mean, I know we have a login for it, obviously, because it's ours, but like I just don't go into it very often.
I'll just give you the RSS. You can put it into your podcast player.
Right.
It was 84. I lied. I didn't see it when it came out. I wasn't alive.
That's real.
I have a past life memory of seeing Ghostbusters.
Shit!
Oh boy.
I don't know, man. I think
I'm reviewing salsas this week, by the way.
that's
If
tight.
you want to get in on that.
I would love to eat some salsa with you.
Okay.
I think it's weird. I go back to what I said about Stevenson and Tucker, and there's a handful of other people who have talked to a lot of fucking kids who have a lot of, like, to me, like, I understand the concept of, it's in Eastern cultures where people are more likely to have a propensity for this thing to be believed.
You go out looking for it and you can find some commonalities between people.
These days, you go out looking for anything in the world and you can go find it.
Which is why people get reincarnated a mile away from their house.
Sure.
Because that's how far you can get to look for people that remember shit.
Yeah, you remember shit about shit, yes. There's also one of the interesting things that I saw in some of my research for this episode is one of the biggest criticisms of people like Stevenson and Tucker and anyone who does work on this past life stuff, especially when it comes to Eastern cultures, is it's a lot of Western scientists who are doing research in Eastern cultures, which means that all of their interviews are done through translators. So the children are saying things that are being translated by adults.
You gotta throw all that out, man.
And the adult translations are then getting passed in English to the researchers.
You gotta toss all that shit out.
And the idea that a lot of people have criticized is basically saying, look, these Eastern translators believe the children because they believe in the concept of reincarnation. So when a child comes back and has any fleeting memory or any conversation that relates to something, you ask a leading question, you lead them with an answer, the translation goes...
Tim's back.
Yeah.
No, really, it's Tim.
No. Oh, well, what he meant was...
Call the white scientist guy.
Call the white scientist guy. What he meant was, and then they fill in the gaps of what the child, quote unquote, meant.
When he said, why are we doing this? I want to go home. What he meant was, I am Tim.
What he meant was, my
That's
home
my
is
wife.
2 miles that way. Yeah, but that is, that is a big source of for some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's the other hard part about kids is kids are both easily influenced, but also easier to suss out, but stupid, but harder to suss out when it's coming through a language barrier too.
Sure.
And then the other part, to go back to the Bridie Murphy thing real quick, that a lot of these stories get chalked up to is the whole concept of cryptomnesia. Have you heard of this?
I feel like we've talked about this before.
Have we? Cryptomnesia?
Yeah, because I tried to figure out this word on the podcast once before. It's hidden and it's a memory or loss of memory or something.
It's a forgotten memory returning without realizing that it's your own. So it's reintroduced to your brain as a new thought, but is actually a memory.
I was hoping it was when you get Bigfoot's memories implanted into your brain.
It's when the Loch Ness Monster swims in your fucking brain liquids.
Yeah. Like the black oil from X-Files, but it's tiny Loch Ness monsters.
Went right over my head.
It's okay. Our listeners will appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for seeing things I haven't. But it's the idea of recalling something that you remember, but not realizing that it's a thing you're remembering. So it feels like you're like, oh my God, this is coming to me from a past life.
Yeah,
there was this
you're
this
like
thing
me
in my
and
town.
you have a shitty memory and stuff is new all the time, even if you've experienced it 50 times.
No way.
Yeah, life is way more fun when you don't remember anything. New shit happens all the time, but I never do anything different.
Right. But a lot of our most popular psychologists and psychiatrists chalk up these types of stories to people not realizing they're remembering something that they're actually remembering, but they're attributing it to something that's beyond them.
I'm sticking with the ghost catapult theory. Also, ghost catapult, add it to the list.
It's Ghost Catapult. That's our next band name.
Yeah.
Ghost Catapult, Robot Grandma.
Or maybe catapult ghost. Does that work better? It's a dead catapult. It's very spooky.
It doesn't fling items very well because it just blows right through them because there's no mass to it.
Only other ghost items.
Only other ghost items. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so wait, catapult ghost or ghost catapult?
That's what I'm saying. They're both pretty funny.
They are, but I really like.
I like a catapult that throws ghosts at people.
That was exactly what I was about to say. Is the concept of a catapult
And
that can only
spiders.
huck a ghost, but ghost spiders.
Shit, I'm a bird.
Shit, I'm a bird.
I'm a tree.
Shit, I'm a caterpillar.
I'm a castle.
I'll be here for a long time. Fuck.
Until I decompose and am returned to the ghost plane. We gotta go. This is stupid.
We love you guys. Thank you all for listening. Send us an email at hi@whatifpodcast.com if you want to fucking bullshit with us or tell us some long stories about Bigfoot. We will read them and love them and talk about them on the podcast.
True.
Support us on Patreon if you want. You get 4 more episodes a month.
True.
At patreon.com/whatifpodcast. Thanks to all of our new members.
True.
We're big on the Tweetster and the Grammar and the Facebook group, which is the What If Podcast. And if you want to know or see anything else or buy some cool shit, go to whatifpodcast.com.
We out here!
We love you guys. We'll see you next week.
We'll be back next week with another episode of the What If Podcast. Learn more at www.whatifpodcast.com.